Hey guys, it's Naika video here, and today's video is going to be a little unscripted for me. As some of you already know, I finished watching Ultraman and Ultra 7, and today I just felt like talking about Ultraman in particular. Let me be clear and say that I have no criticisms against the show. I liked it. I liked it so much. It felt like something that I really needed, especially with the way things are right now in the States. Before I get into my thoughts about the show, let me kind of fill you in about my personal history with Ultraman. I was born in the early 80s, and my earliest exposure to Ultraman was through my dad. He rented a videotape called The Adventures of Ultraman from Family Home Entertainment. I think it came out in the early 80s, and he taped it for me, and it used to be a mainstay with me and my brother during the VCR era. We also were able to tape the sequel dub of that, I think The Adventures of Ultraman 2, and we would watch it ad nauseum at my house. We used to watch Transformers the movie, we used to watch like the first Star Wars every so often, but the Jonius anime, or at least the English dub thereof, it got mad play at my house. I used to be obsessed with the 3 jets that you'd see in the Jonius anime. I used to think they were the coolest things ever. And the Ultraman host for this English dub, his name was Harris, I think. So I was really dead set on him, and he was my Ultraman for the longest time until 1990. 1990 was a big deal because that's when Ultraman Great was televised in the US. If you guys remember Jack Shindo and all the other creatures that made Ultraman Great so memorable, yeah, that was that show. And I have to say that was my first televised exposure of Ultraman. It was a fun time. And I remember my dad buying me and my brother toys, from the show, and it was an awesome time. My brother in particular has a fondness for Ultraman Great, though I was kind of a jerk brother at the time. I think I broke the leg of Ultraman Great, and my brother has never forgiven me ever since. This is kind of like an inside joke for the both of us. But yeah, Ultraman Great was probably the last time I would see a televised Ultraman show until, I want to say, Ultraman Z during the pandemic on YouTube. I did buy the Mill Creek DVD of the original Ultraman show around 2008 or 2009. I tried watching it, but couldn't get into it much. And by that time, like, I had a girlfriend, and it was kind of like, it was kind of time to get serious. It was kind of a serious time in my life at that time. There wasn't that much room for tokusatsu, I think. Nowadays there is. As some of you already know, I was doing my Ultraman Blazer video. I was writing that up and editing, and during the meantime, my wife bought me these, and I just started watching them. And as some of you already know, the Blazer video is kind of kaput for now. I still have to find some way to rework the script. 20 minutes of it was already edited, but again, YouTube didn't really like the video when I tested it out and canned it completely. But enough of that sad stuff. Let's talk about Ultraman. I love the show. I think Shin Hayata is probably one of the best protagonists I've seen of this franchise. I love the fact that he's such a do-gooder. I don't know if people really dig that about tokusatsu protagonists nowadays, but he really gives off this gee whiz by golly vibe about him. I love that about him. He might make a joke or a jibe here and there, but there's so much about him is just like, he takes in things for what they are, and he just rolls with it. I think that's one of the things I love about both him and Dan Moroboshi, right? They find these mysteries or run into these phenomena. They work with Ide and Arash and everybody else to kind of solve this mystery and save the day. And I think that's what kept me going when I was watching the show. You just wanted to see what the next mystery was and how the SSSP would solve that mystery. Now, from what I understand, the show was kind of divided into 3 parts in a way. 13 episodes with the Type A suit, 13 episodes with the Type B suit, and 13 episodes with the Type C suit. And I'm kind of particular to Type B and Type C, but I have to say that although I'm not the biggest fan of the Type A suit, the episodes are still kind of fun. Pagemon episode is a huge highlight for me. And there was one episode that I really liked. There were some like low-key horror vibes with the episode. I can't think of it. I mean, it's not the first Baltan Seijin episode I enjoyed massively, but I think it was an episode about this doctor investigating creatures or dinosaurs. That episode was especially enthralling for me as a horror fan. I think anybody who's kind of into this kind of horror anthology type stuff would dig that episode. For the episodes with the Type B suit, I think the Gavadon episode, hands down, one of the best episodes I've ever seen, maybe of the entire franchise so far, at least as far as I've seen so far. I haven't seen enough to really be an expert on any of these things, nor do I want to be. But the Gavadon episode, just perfect stuff. And I did like what Blazer tried to do with Gavadon in their little episode, which I think was also episode 15 in Blazer. Great stuff. Love the Gavadon episode. The Zarab episode is pretty cool too. I like that it's called The Brother from Another Planet. Pretty fun stuff. Bolton episode is absolutely fantastic. Along with the episode with the Dada aliens. The Dada aliens are really unique with the way they look. And I love what they were trying to do with regards to their plot. I thought it was kind of fun. One episode I really enjoyed was Overthrow the Surface. And that episode for me encapsulated this interesting invasion type idea from these subterranean people that want to either reclaim or reconquer Earth. That episode was a lot of fun. It felt almost like a spy thriller almost. However, I think that a lot of my favorite episodes come from the last 13 episodes with the Type C suit. The episode that really got me, Monster Graveyard. I think that's probably my favorite episode for this entire show. But I feel like the Monster Graveyard episode is something you can't really jump into, right? You're gonna have to watch a great deal of the show for the message of the Monster Graveyard to really sink in. And that's one of the things why I find this show so sincere, right? You feel like there's this alien that's trying to do his best to help people, and he can't help everybody. And I think the Monster Graveyard tackles these things really well. And I feel like that's what I find so alluring about the first Ultraman. Ultraman, or Hayata, however you want to see him, he's just this very sincere being that just wants to help people, but he's always kind of pigeonholed into situations that kind of force him to just either kill the thing or subdue the thing. But it's nothing malicious or bad intention. He's trying to calm the situation as much as possible. I know there's a lot of people who are critical of Ultraman, especially Toho Godzilla fans. I get it, but I really urge folks, especially if you're a Gen Xer or an earlier millennial like me, to really give the show a chance, because if you take the show at face value, it offers a lot of wholesome special effects fun. If you're able to suspend your disbelief, you're gonna get a lot more out of this show than you might realize. I just feel like if you grew up with Lost in Space, if you grew up with Adam West Batman, if you grew up with Star Trek, like the original Star Trek, or if you grew up with Thunderbirds, you're gonna find a lot of good things about the show. Even Spectreman, right? But you just have to take it at face value. If you come in as an internet critic, this show isn't going to be for you. That's my honest opinion. I was lucky enough to be introduced to Ultraman at an early age, so for me to just hop on and watch it wasn't too hard of a stretch. I would say maybe the first 13 episodes might be, because I find them a teeny bit slow, but I feel like once you get to the Gavadon episode 15, I want to say, oh man, the show takes off, in my opinion. Another thing I want to really talk about is Ide. Ide, I think I saw this tweet a while back about Ide, and I have to agree that Ide really is the heart of the show. He's the guy that represents humanity at its best. Ide seems like a joke character at first, but there's a heart to him that just is all about science. It's all about looking for solutions and trying to be his own person, making sure that the SSSP are doing their own things independent of Ultraman. That doesn't always happen sometimes, but if you give him a chance, you're gonna warm up to him really easily. And honest to God, I think the thing that I remember the most about Ultraman is the ending. I don't want to spoil the ending. I think it's the 39th episode. I still think about this ending ever since I finished the show. There's a lot of revelations that come out of it that just have me just scratching my head saying that, wow, that really happened. And I can't imagine what it was like being a kid in Japan watching that last episode for the first time. I can't imagine, especially with the way it ended, that last episode. It's just fantastic stuff. And I can see why this one show started this amazing franchise that still continues to this day with Omega. But yeah, I don't really have a lot else to say about Ultraman. I love the special effects. I think that's another draw for anybody that grew up, as a Gen Xer or an earlier millennial. The special effects may seem dated to you, but they were right up my alley as somebody of my age cohort. And if you're able to suspend your disbelief with Marvel fare or DC comic stuff, you're not going to have a hard time getting into this. I feel like, if anything, the show is very simplistic, right? The show is really straightforward, but every member of the SSSP is just dead set committed on like solving a problem, right? They're not a paramilitary organization. They're not the Power Rangers. They're a group of people, like scientists, researchers, maybe some military people, that are dead set on solving a problem or phenomena. I think that's what's great about this show. And also there's this sense of a larger world, because the SSSP is a global organization, and I think the headquarters is in Paris. So there's this sense that Ultraman is providing this kind of worldview that, hey, Japan is part of this organization that's helping to kind of solve these problems for world peace or solving phenomena to make sure the world is safe. And I love that about Ultraman. I just love that Ultraman is really dead set on like helping people and like solving crises and making sure there's no mass casualty events that affect humans, right? And I hope that, at least what I'm saying here, when people watch this show, people see how sincere the filmmakers are when they put this on television. They really wanted to give children these fantastical ideas, these fantastical settings, and basically test humanity's capability for sincerity through Ultraman. That's how I personally feel as an old guy watching this stuff again. And I'm gonna tell you, as somebody who is a little older and reconnecting with Ultraman for the last 5 years or so, I feel like I've finally come full circle as somebody who just like casually watched Ultraman as a little kid to somebody that now looks forward to new releases or tries to watch the latest season if money allows, right? So yeah, I hope folks realize that this show is full of sincerity, it's full of heart. It really is trying to appeal to kids' sense of wonder and innocence about the world, about science fiction, about outer space, and how it's just trying to make kids happy and entertained. And I think there's a sincerity to that I hope more media kind of emulates, right? Yeah. Looking at this, I feel like I've come full circle as an adult and as somebody who grew up watching the Jonas anime all those years ago. And just to say this as a personal note, this was my dad's favorite show growing up when he was a 10-year-old in Thailand, because he was born in the 50s. And since this show came out in 1966, he probably would have been like, a 10-year-old or older when this came out. And as a lot of you know, a great deal of Southeast Asia loves this show. If you guys ever find this Blu-ray for cheap, give it a shot. Be open-minded and just understand that this show is being as sincere as possible when it comes to showcasing science fiction to kids. All right, that's all I got for you guys. I wish I made a spoiler video. I don't want to. I want more people of my age cohort to try to get into this. But yeah, I think Ultraman is a very sincere show, and it's always good to see something that is just sincere at face value and isn't there to make a buck off of you entirely. It's there to give you entertainment and wonder and maybe a little bit of mystery. So yeah, I hope you guys check out Ultraman, and that's all I got for you guys. See ya.